And we are back. Apologies, something just crashed in my settings and I had to restart the stream. So welcome back, everyone. Is anybody still there? So, okay. Second round is already taking place, right? So let's just see what's happening there. And in the meantime, let me know if there is anything working or not working. And I think I'm back online. So where we are, we have second round that's taking place already. You can see some games that have already finished. Some of them are just starting. And my suggestion is actually to look at the games of the leaders, right? So we are going to look at the matches between the teams that are having 2 points, 2 match points, so meaning that they won their first match. So that's NTU, Ministry of Home Affairs, second team, and Ministry of Health, People's Association, as I mentioned, they received the bye in the first round, so also 2 match points. And I think I just missed one, but they will be playing each other anyway. So, and let's see, I was told that the event is showing now on chess.com as well, so we can you can see them here on chess.com events, and maybe I should just take the link and publish that here in the chat, so for everyone, so to follow, this is where you can see the games as they happen, and it also makes my life a little easier. So, like for example, I can click and look at the games instead of just watching them. Although I probably am going to do both of that. Okay, so this game is quickly getting to conclusion. So the international master is too much to handle for most people, myself included. So no questions here. So White is obviously winning. Probably made a couple of moves, and I guess it will be a difficult match for People's Association. I also see that on the second board, Daniel Chander is playing for Ministry of Health. And okay, now the interesting question here, of course, is how these organized. I think it's organized by alphabet for white player, right? So like we can see here. Okay, yeah, exactly. So this is how it works. Let me see. Okay, I will need to probably resize my screen again, because otherwise we're going to see either too much or too little. Or maybe I can switch to this view, and yeah, probably going to do just that for now. But okay, so what are we having? So Ministry of Health, and the other one is the team of Ministry of Home Affairs second team. And let me just see here, and that's their first boards clash right there, right now. And maybe we'll just start here. Quickly, so we have so the first board is Mohammed Shahru Nizam for Ministry of Home Affairs 2 and Shashi Jayakumar for NTU. And what do we have here on the board? It's actually pretty unbalanced, I would say, first of all. So how many pawns does everybody's side have? So pawns are equal, but it's really very unbalanced. I mean, like I cannot quickly give you an evaluation myself, because like I really don't know what's going on. Okay, I think the point of White's last move was that you cannot just take on c5. Actually, let me see if I can start it as a live analysis here. Okay, let's see if I can do that. So is it going to work? So yep, I think that's, we are going to use this model just to kind of, so that I can play some moves on the board. The point of the last move by White, again, my theory is that you cannot take this one because of rook h7. And the idea is like, if you, let's say, play bishop g7, White gives another check, and these two rooks are going to capture the poor bishop. Now, that was my first impression, and I think that was the idea when White played h5. But after rook c5, I think Black can take it as long as they are a little careful. So first of all, can Black play Queen g6 here, for example? That's one of the, sorry, King g6, of course. I don't see why not. So for example, check, I can go back, and okay, White can win something there. Yeah, it's actually scary. Or another idea that came to my mind is after rook h7, you don't need to go back, and you cannot really go anywhere else because the bishop will be falling, but you can go here, attacking the rook on h7. And so White doesn't have time to win back the bishop. It's not the end of the variation. It can be continued, so White can like swing the rook somewhere else, and basically now Black has two pieces hanging, and like bishop d8 is not going to help because of this one. It's all very messy. So the short version of that is that probably I would not, again, like as a practical player, I would not take on c5 myself at this moment. I would try to keep it all kind of tidy and organized on king side with Black. And by the way, that's an interesting moment where you can go back and check what happened. That's exactly what happened. Yay! So Black thought for almost 3 minutes here and came to that conclusion. Again, not to say that was the best one, but at least that was a practical. I'm surprised White did not play b4 here, by the way. Is again in this position. The pawn was hanging. And okay, it is, knight looks, you know what they're saying, right? Like knight of the rim looks dim, like all this very old wisdom, but the pawn was really a good one. And so again, if I were White, I would probably have played b2, b4 here. So anyway, it's, I think now Black is probably in control. The game is not over. White still controls the open file and everything, but okay, Black has an extra pawn and probably not enough compensation for White. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue for compensation when you have knight on b1. So, but at least okay, that's the top board, the main kind of competition, the match of this round. On the second board, there was very quick work by Alexandru Krivoy against Niaz Mohammed Ghazali. So that all went very wrong for Black apparently from the very beginning. Yep, okay, it's already losing somewhere around here. So NTU is leading this match by 1 point. And on the third board, whoa, look at that, what just happened? Okay, Black is just winning, so they're going to mate in 1, I think. Yep. So NTU is really in leading this match by 2-0, maybe. If what was the fourth board? That's actually the fourth board. So this is I'm not sure if I can if I'm get the name right or wrong. Apologies in advance. So it's one Simus Abraham against Roy Tan E Aoun. So and NTU plays Roy Tan E Aoun. And that's playing white. Yep, playing white. And now that we start calculating the pieces on the board, I think that, yeah, okay, well, White has a lot of extra pieces, so clearly winning. So I think in this match, NTU is going to celebrate a victory for sure. Here we are like 3 extra pieces. And so it's probably going to be 3-0, regardless of what happens on the first board. So there you have it. Ministry of Health. So we saw the game that on the first board that White was quickly winning, and okay, the mate is on the board. Daniel Chander on the second board, and this game is this one. Wow, look at this. This is very beautiful. Just like I really like this purely from the what you call like aesthetic point of view, like D file is really, I mean, okay, I'm probably overdoing that. But actually, yeah, like both the D file and E file is completely blocked, like, and also look at this wonderful pawn chain formation for both sides. So it's going to be very slow, locked game for a long time to come here, right? So, and by the way, in these positions, it's usually better if you have a knight as compared to, let's just compare this knight to this bishop. So like if you put the knight on c4 and kind of defend it like knight c4 protected by a4, so it cannot be moved out, like forced out by a pawn. So my advice for white would be probably just kind of try to play bishop e2, bishop g4, exchange the bishops, right? And then play for advantage of knight over bishop. Like in a close position, the knights are stronger. And this is what you probably want to do. Again, it's not as simple. There is also like the open file that we need to take care of for both sides. And that's knight c4 might come in handy, but okay, like a lot of play here. At the release, I wanted to just make sure that I have covered all of the games in this match. So let me see if I can find the other board. It's a little bit challenging in this setup. So we can earn can't find it here. So let me switch back to this one, to this view. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, wow, look at that. This is white is apparently winning if you're looking at the computer evaluation, right? So it doesn't mean much, of course. Like no one is a computer at the board but the computer. But yeah, I mean it's white to move, and they have like they can like start opening the center, and with the rooks looking directly at the black king. So yeah, oh wow, king h2 would never cross my mind. Yeah, like my reaction is like, hey guys, like you have rooks looking at the king, you have better development, everything is already developed. Just like open the center and start attacking. I think white was concerned about some potential bishop h3, maybe, like black taking here, but okay, objectively black doesn't have time for that. So like, okay, so this is third board. The first board is won for Ministry of Health. Second board is equal right now, so it can go either way. This one is also like, we don't know how it's going to play out. And the last board is Eric S. Montel, Eric Van Menkwa. Can I find it here? I just don't seem to find it here. And my theory was that this is sorted by the first name. So I'm not sure what's happening with that. Let me double check on the chess results. If that was, I don't know. Let's move to another view. So that was, I cannot find the forward, so not sure what's happening with that. Let's look at then the third match. So where we have Ministry of Sustainability and Environment playing against Ministry of Defense. Both ministries represented by second teams in this case. So these are the, let's see what's their score right now. Yeah, like Ministry of Sustainability and Environment second team is one of the leaders. Ministry of Defense drew their match. So, okay, like they are both on a good track, so to speak. Let's see if I can quickly find here. Okay, me and quickly today is obviously not not going together in one sentence. But okay, so this is the first board. I hope you can see it, right? Okay, and this is again time for us to count the pieces on the board. I mean, before we count the pieces on the board here, black is obviously struggling with the king. You don't want the king in the middle of the board. And And also this thing is pinned. So like, for example, white can play something like this. So basically just knight d4, right? And attacking the knight, you cannot take because it is pinned, right? And after that, if you're taking like knight d4 and black, let's say even just protects it, but then you can probably play knight f5. No, I mean like it's really black is struggling here, that's for sure. Although I wouldn't go as far to say that it's lost, but okay, it's pretty bad. You would obviously want white here. So this one is I would say advantage for white. Let's see if we can. On the second board, the game is already over, and here the representative of the Ministry of Defense won. I don't know what happened exactly here. Knight a2 and black just resigned. I mean, okay, black is a piece down. Yeah, it's a knight, extra knight for black. Something somewhere along the way, probably black lost that piece, and I'm just trying to roll back all the way down to see what happened. How did it happen? Oh, okay, I see. So like up to this point, it was all going normally for black, but here, and in a way, you can argue that black is actually more active here and everything. But after knight d4, white took knight d4, and I think that was the moment where black realized that they cannot take back because h5 knight is going to drop. If he does that, that's very unfortunate. And after that, the game continued for a while, but it seems like black just did not. I mean, there was a lot of happening, like a lot of moves that were being played, but at this moment, black just decided to resign. And I'm not sure, like, yeah, I mean, okay, sure, it's an extra piece, but like, why here, right? I mean, like, black was doing kind of okayish for a long time, so like, other than just losing a piece, right? And most interestingly, by the way, in this position, if you indulge me, I was just looking at these and I was thinking knight e2. It almost works. I was thinking like play knight h5, bishop g, queen g5, and rook g8. But unfortunately, and like if white has to go back, then it's actually you don't know how it's working out. Like let's say queen h4, knight g2, and then yeah, black is just winning. Unfortunately, this queen h6. I didn't see that. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe like, yeah, black is of course lost, but knight e2. Interesting. Like if you're seeing that these things. Oh, whoa! Look at that. Actually, h5 was still making sense, right? So if you're looking at h5 and queen g5, and I was thinking like attacking on g2, right? Like I wanted to use this line, but as computer points out, I can just take back the knight, right? So like, so after h5, white would have would be forced to play queen f3, and first of all, like at least make that move and see if white finds it, right? It's the only move that actually keeps the piece alive. So it was probably worth a try. Okay, but let's get back to let me actually close that one. So black resigned here. So that means that there is an extra point. And by the way, let me see if there was updated. Shouldn't have pressed that. Yeah, a lot of games are already over, but now I will not see how they completed. I wanted to actually refresh another window. But all right, let's just continue what we have there. And right. While we were talking, this game is actually over, right? So that was the game, if you remember, that we were looking at the position and analyzing. I was showing you some variations where white could get some initiative, but okay, like in the game, it all ended rather quickly because basically just black pawns started rolling down the board, and yeah, black just apparently black just won very quickly. So g2, queen f3, yeah. Okay, well, it's actually this could be interesting. Okay, but black captured. Okay, so yeah, I think it is really bad for white. Yep, and that was that. So that's how NTU scored another point. So they won the match for sure. They are at least 3-0 right now on the board, and so that settles it for the NTU. I think that's probably going to be the new kind of the leaders in a board after the end of this round. Let's see if that prediction is going to be correct. I wanted to check also what happened on that game that was all blocked around the board, and I see that white just lost a piece, literally this very moment. So that's unfortunate. Okay, but white was doing something on the other side of the board and just not probably paying enough attention. Yeah, like already here, it's difficult for white really. I mean, probably I would even consider like playing like knight e2, king e2 or something like that here. And now obviously black is just winning. So Daniel Chandler is going to be probably winning this game for black, and that means that Ministry of Health is also now probably going to win the match. Okay, I wanted to quickly also look at the other games and to see if we have any other. So, for example, let's look at this game. So, and this is the game between Matthew Lau and Soros Limbu. So it's Ministry of Defense first team against Ministry of Home Affairs third team. And yeah, so like Matthew Lau is actually one of the junior players. So I think even representing Singapore in many regional junior events, such as like, or not only regional, I think also played in the World Youth Under 16 Championship. So and yeah, playing for the first board for this team. And wow, look at that, A3. That's a bold opening move. So there you go. Personal story. I actually once had to face this move at the national championship myself. I was my goodness, long, many years ago. Like what? More than 30 years ago, I was playing in the Russian championship, team championship, and my opening opened A3, and I remember like looking at it like that was almost insulting. But more disappointingly is that I lost the game. So, and I think that's exactly what happened here. So A3, by the way, is not such a bad move. Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense in many variations. So like, I remember sitting there and thinking about that, like A2, A3, and what do I do? Like, for example, if you play D7, D5 after that, right? Let me actually open that for, like, if you're playing D5, D4, and C5, that's already probably a mistake because like white can take on C5 and like he's prepared to go a B4 next, right? So there you have it. So yeah, it's kind of funny little move. So okay, A3, E5. Let's maybe just roll through that. So and here you see like after this you are going more into the. Sorry, let me just switch off the computer. It just kind of completely distracts me, so to speak. And now you basically have this Sicilian opening in with the colors reversed, right? So like white is playing C4, like C4, E5, and then A3 also makes sense. I mean, like in the Sicilian defense with black, you do play like C5, A6, and many lines, right? Like think Neidorf or Scheveningen or Taimanov, you do that. So, and here, like it kind of A3 is not a bad move. Takes B4 away. And yeah, so that's exactly like you see, like A3 makes sense. Funny. So you probably want to react with something else against a3. So you want to find a variation where it would be like a loss of tempo. Clearly not here, but I wonder why, like e3, I don't like at all. Like here, after e3, black could have played bishop b3, attacking the queen, right? And like, first of all, where do you go? Suddenly the queen is trapped, right? Like this one is taken, this one is taken, this one is taken, right? This one is taken, so it's like, I think it was just down queen. So I think black missed a chance to kind of, I wouldn't say finish the game on the spot. You can still get 2 pieces for that. But okay, after that, after knight b3, okay, white is obviously winning. Extra pawn. Well, not anymore. Look at that. It was changing so much throughout the whole game. That's okay. So now obviously white is already better. And eventually, I guess, okay, like now black also walked into the fork, pawn fork, and white was winning after all. Okay, so after that, white was winning. But okay, it's interesting. So opening a3, in some cases it does, as we find out, it does make sense. So let's see what other games are still ongoing. And also I will be refreshing here on another screen. I'm checking like if the results are being published or not. Let me see. And in the meantime, let's see if there is any games that are still that we can still watch that are ongoing. Wow, this one is actually interesting. So this one is trying to figure out where it's. So this one, Ministry of Defense against Ministry of Home Affairs, the same match actually as the previous game that we just saw. This is the third board. So with white, Go Yong Han, and with black, Lim Mohammed Hamza. So Mohammed Hamza Lim. I'm actually not sure like who's even better here, you know. So theoretically speaking, yeah, like white is an exchange up, but d4 is under attack. And if that falls, and given like the the white king is so far away, even if after that black has to give back the bishop for this passed pawn, when you have 2 pawns that are connected, actually let me just press it again so that I'll drop all this. But basically you have these 2 pawns. If they start rolling down the board, it can be very difficult for white, you know. So it really depends on how far advanced you are. So like I'm almost tempted to say that black is better here, you know, like, okay, well, that I would probably not do, but maybe you can do. And now like play c3. Well, I'm not sure you really need actually those are the tricky little end games, because so what do you do now? For example, like play d4, play c3, or play king d4. I mean, probably not king d4. You don't want like to give the squares that are available for white king. But yeah, okay. So for example, here, if you start pushing the pawn further, like play d3, right? Okay, I would probably do the other way, because right now I don't like that white can play rook c7, and after that you're kind of pushing away the black king. It might not make any difference though. I mean, black pawns are very far advanced. So like usually the rule of thumb is that if you have the 2 pawns on the third rank, the rook can no longer hold it on its own, right? So you need support from your king, and the king is on the other side of the board. It's a very interesting endgame, and again, one that is very difficult for players. For myself, I mean, like I remember I was studying recently. There is a course on endgames on one of my favorite sites that I use like for study, Chessable, right? And these are the ones where I very often get the exercises wrong. I mean, okay, now you really don't have a choice. You need to push forward, right? So like you play knight king before, and but the question is, what do you do with white? So you probably play king d5, but then d3. Oh, look at that. So like I find a very interesting variation. So let's see. Uh, let's say, let me open it now. This board. So king d5, d3. There is nothing else, and here intermediate check, rook c4. Now the idea is that you're pushing the king forward, and it might sound like a good deal for white, right? But after that, you're attacking both pawns at the same time, right? And after d2, you play rook c3 check, which is the difference. King b2, and I think it all ends up in a draw. So white has to basically, yeah, it cannot like it's a draw, but that's as much as you can as much as you can achieve. And if you don't give a check, if you just play king d4, then d2, and well, white is toast because rook c4 you can go back. You see? So these are the kind of the tricks that are. By the way, after that, that also means that after rook c4, you might want to go back with a king anyway. No, you cannot, because then you check, you take the pawn, and then black is even losing. So you see, like, these are the kind of the small subtleties of these end games where you're playing like a rook against pawns that are really tricky. So let's see. Okay, well, oh wow, look at that. What happened? So rook c7, king b4, king e5, d3. Now here, okay, well, that's exactly the moment where you don't want to play king a3 because this one is now the only move you have is king a4, and that's a draw, right? Wow, white is actually, that was smart. That was a really good resource. But if black didn't play king a3 here, if he would play king a4, or king a5 actually for that matter, I suspect that white is lost, right? Wow, look at that. So the question is now black. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe black doesn't see king queen a4, or maybe it's so frustrated that he's not winning that game. So, but yeah, okay, that's the only move in the position. So very interesting. So that's I really love these kind of examples, like where out of the blue you get suddenly from what seemed like a very simple position, you get all of these complexity, and yeah, it's a really difficult thing to play, especially like if you're playing like with a quick time control. All of these stories, right? So amazing stuff. So I think, yeah, okay. So now this game is really kind of getting to the close. So it is a draw after all, and like literally nothing on the board by two kings. So very hard fought game. Like lucky, okay, lucky or unlucky. Um, I think both players should be credited here for like, yeah, like, and you see like a really sportsman-like exchange after the game. So really love it, love it, love it. So really fantastic to see the sportsmanship here. Okay, I think that's probably going to be the end of the second round. And yikes, again, like I pressed something. So that's, and by the way, that was the game that we saw, and that's probably exactly what happened. White actually went in a different direction, playing knight g5, not that attacking move that I suggested, knight g4, knight g5. But it's, I mean, that it's difficult for black either way, frankly speaking, because you don't want to push rook on f8 because then the king never gets out center. And after a few more moves here, yeah, okay, I think it's this knight is falling, and that's exactly what happened. So black just resigned. Okay, Interesting, interesting. And let's see if we have official results. Yep, we do have the official results. So once again, let me, you know what? Let me do this actually. I will do this one, and I will add another browser here. Windows capture just results. Bear with me for a second. So while I'm working with this thing, and no, no, a second. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit. Okay, now. Okay, well, my hope is that what I'm doing right now, at least once I'm done, I will not have to do it again with, okay, so that's the one. And you can see that, right? So let me just scroll down. So this is the results of the second round. And what do we have here? So this was no, that was actually round one. We're already past round one. So let's see round two. Okay, now we're looking at round two. And what we have here. So let me maybe a little bit also make it all slightly more organized on my screen, hopefully. Right. And that should do it. That should do it. So on the first match, we had right. Okay, I think I'm finally done with playing around. Okay. Okay, so Nanyang Technological University 4-0. Wow, that was completely, and also in the second match, so Ministry of Health against People Association, also 4-0. So these are obviously the teams to beat going forward, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually play in a second round. In a third round against each other. The third match is ended up in a draw, so 2-2. So Ministry of Sustainability and Environment and Ministry of Defense, second teams, they scored 2 points each, so they drew this match. And Attorney General's against Ministry of Home Affairs first team was 4-0, and and Ministry of Defense 3.5 for 1/2 point. So let's see what it means for us in terms of ranking. I think I pressed again something. No, okay, fine. So we definitely have just 2 leaders now. We have Ministry of Health and NTU. As I already mentioned a couple of times, they probably were the prime candidates to win this edition of the public service tournament. So probably this is what's going to be decisive match next round. And by the way, I'm told that the round 3 is starting very soon. So right. And for the third place, we have Attorney General's Chambers and Organs of State and Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment, second team with 3 points. And and a lot of other teams just behind them. So probably for now, that sounds like those are the key competitors for the first 3 prizes. So you see that, we have really key matchup on. We will be watching probably with a lot of attention the match between Nanyang University and Ministry of Health. So right, so maybe we can talk a little bit about like who are the players for these teams, right? I mean, so let me start with the Ministry of Health, and I already mentioned Suli Young many times here on these broadcasts. Really, like no introduction needed, like a national player, and represented Singapore at many Olympiads, chess Olympiads, and enormously strong player. So like I was recently we had Singapore playing in online World Olympiad, right? So like there was no chess Olympics this year. So FIDE, the organization, Worldwide Chess Association, they organized these online competition, and so Dr. Su was the top scorer for Singapore team by large margin. So really kind of carried the team in many rounds. So the second board is Daniel Chender, and I think this is also like a bit of a comeback story. So I know that he didn't play too much, like he was not playing chess for a long while, like many adult players, like people start working on something else and chess kind of recedes a little bit in the background, but came back to chess at least for this competition. I think also played last year. Again, like if we have a little break somewhere in between, I'll be talking. I'll walk you through. So I have a few summaries of the previous years that would be interesting to run through. So yeah. So and also for the top two players for Nanyang, so Jia Kumar Shashi, so he was recently scoring fifth at the Civil Service Club Individuals Tournament. So also strong player. So even though again it will be difficult against Suli Young, it would be difficult for anyone in Singapore for that matter. And on the second board, Alexander Krivoy, and yeah, actually I met him at a couple of competitions here. So we were playing in the team competition that was like kind of club competition that was being run for the last couple of years. A very strong player, so like let's say FIDE master level player, and so yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Like probably these two games on the first board are going to define like the final result for both teams. And I think I'm hearing like the chess pieces sounding in the background, so probably it's already happening for round three. So let me see if I can switch back to that, and we will start with the top match. I think that's going to be the critical thing for us today. Okay, I think I just lost my. Where is that? Right. For some reason, yep, we can see it now, right? We can see it now. And action. Okay, I think I'm really curious to find that game on the top board for the top teams. It kind of makes sense to watch at that first, right? So, okay, round three is underway. So, I think that was what French, right? So it started with the French defense, which I think Soliank is playing almost exclusively. Right, like this is a classical variation, so to speak. Well, it's actually officially called classical. I didn't know that. And both sides are developing. I kind of tend to prefer white in these positions, but okay, because simply like I really kind of hate bishop on b7, right? And but on the other hand, it's like you see, like it's blocked by its own pawns, and unless you really kind of find a way to activate it, like you're going to stuck with the bad piece for a long while, like while white bishop on 2 is a little better, like slightly more active. But although it's, to be honest, like the difference between them right now is not dramatic. But imagine, like for example, if white could play something like b4, c3, right, and then that bishop is going to be really kind of buried, uh, almost like in a tomb. But okay, it's difficult to organize. And if you're French defense player, like you learn to live with that. So, and as a lifetime French player, so yeah, I think that's probably the plan for black here. Okay, let me also check the second board now. So like this one is going to be, let's say, a long game. So we will probably get back to that for quite a long time to come. Second board. Ooh, look at that. That's a very interesting variation of the Scotch defense, Scotch game. And yeah, I think the key here, I don't know the theory here, unfortunately, so don't quote me on that. But I think the point is that black is attacking on g6. And if I remember correctly, there is, oh, no, not that one, but there was like knight b5. You could play knight b5, and then black can ruin the, maybe it's still in this variation. You can still play knight b5, right, like this, attacking c7. And it's kind of a bit unwieldy for black, right? So it's like you cannot, there is no other way to defend it by playing king d8 at some point, which is also like, you don't want that. So you probably, and that's why I think it was important to play on the previous move, because right now black can just even, essentially drop the pawn like castle, right? Sacrifice the pawn, and I think black has enough development for to compensate for that. So, but again, don't take my word for it. I don't know the theory. Black, who is playing that, and white supposedly does. So they do. So we'll see. We'll take a look. We'll keep watching that as we go forward. So the third board, and the fourth board. This is the third board. So okay, well, you guys looking at two strongest teams, so like nothing is happening immediately in the opening. Another like example of what I call long game, right? So both sides are developing the pieces and quite harmoniously for both, I would say. But yeah, like at some point of time, the development is complete, and both sides would need to choose what to do next. And like I would, for example, expect white to play f2, f4 right now, and then maybe g3, g4, like knight. Yeah, okay, well, let me see. Like at least once I'm guessing, I'm guessing the moves of the players. That's good. And black probably doesn't have much choice but to castle, but it's risky because like then, yeah, like the whole point of this setup, like white is having like this center, and now they're trying to move more towards the right and kind of start attacking on the right. So like, but then yeah, black doesn't really have anywhere else to hide the king. But their play is on this side of the board, on the queen side. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. And I'll want to find the last game in this critical match, which is probably going to decide the tournament with a high probability. And this one is Asman Tio is playing white, and Roytan Iaun is is playing black. And this is I'm not sure. Bishop c4 I don't like for white, but it doesn't really matter, so it's okay. So white, black are developing, and I think this one is a risky decision for black that he is taking here, because yeah, like you can probably win the pawn, but it's not the pawn I would really like to grab. Like the king is still in the center, and yeah, like for example, like I would play queen g4, attacking these two pieces. Oh no, that not that one. That's kind of justifying what black was doing, giving him a blank check to play like d5 maybe even, you know. So yeah, it's probably we'll get back here, but well, taking so like white will take and black will probably try just to castle, but okay, you can claim some compensation for white here. Anything can happen here. Maybe let's just quickly take a look at the first boards. Uh, okay, like the more or less usual transformation for both sides. Black has a bit of weakness here, but it's not critical for now. So like black has enough to defend it, and also like you see, like he's also attacking a pawn on b2, and white is like if I think play probably should want to play b2, b3, or b2, b4, but then black will be able to play rook c8, attack this knight, which no longer would have support. So yeah, I mean black is fine here at the very least. I think maybe even a little better. I don't know. I mean, you see, like the reason I'm saying that is black has some active moves that he can make. He can play like rook c8, queen c5, then d5, d5, d4 is going to be on the agenda. And if that happens, then definitely black is pushing, right? Because let's say, like for example, maybe just let me again like make another series. So like this pawn is hanging, so b3 or b4 is probably going to be unlucky for white because then I don't see how to defend here. So very unpleasant. So you probably don't want to play b3 or b4. Either moves would be best. So then you're playing something like rook a3. But even then, black can play rook c8, and then the threat is like the it's a bit of a. I mean, I wouldn't call it like a trap, but it is a trap. So like, if, for example, white takes, black takes, and white cannot take it back because of the back rank mate, right? So like rook bishop f1 and rook f1 mate. So after rook c8 again, like you need to spend another tempi, like one more tempo for like preventing that threat. So for example, something like h3, which is doesn't add to your position at all. But then play continues knight c5, right? And then like you cannot draw back because d4 is coming. So you play rook d4. It's like you see, like it's already a couple of moves in a row where white has to do like the only moves, like and it's not even over. Like you can play after that, like something like f6 or maybe in the previous move also like play g5 here, attacking f4, and after exchange, like by definition, by kind of as a follow-up e5 as well. So I think maybe black has already overtaken initiative a little bit here. Where was that game? Let's see what's happening there. So yeah, like I think black is choosing exactly. So g5, he doesn't even play rook c8, doesn't want to spend time on that. Although I thought it was a good idea, but okay. So there you have it. I think black is already pressing a little here. Second board. Okay, so that looks like a lot of exchanges. So probably white is taking. I don't see any other move here really. Well, there is another move, but okay, white has. So black has already done that, and now e5 does not work because knight g4 would attack both squares, right? And so white need to play more slowly. But then that means that black is fine. So like maybe f3, I don't know, or h3. F. By the way, g2 is also hanging, so like you cannot develop the bishop, although you want to, but you cannot. But you want to prevent knight g4 from happening. So I think black is completely fine at the very least. Okay, so we have that. That's probably good enough for the first match. Let's maybe take a look at the second match as well, because we need to check that Um, that's a good question, actually. One moment, let me check something. Um, okay. Oops, sorry. Too many windows here. Wow, G3. Okay, well, it also kind of makes sense. I see. Checking the results. And the second match. So I need to find a game between Vincent Lay and Leonard Go. That's the third board of the match between Ministry of Sustainability and Environment. And there we have it. There we have it. So let's check again. The first thing you always do in these situations is like you're checking. Um, you want to understand like how many pieces and pawns. Um, everything is equal, right? I hope I'm not missing anything. White is okay. I think black really needs to decide what to do with the bishop, and probably exchanging is really the only option I would say. Uh, and then you need to decide also what to do with this knight which is pinned. So like my reaction would be like I would take on a3, take on a3, probably castle long. It's still not exactly solving all the problems for black because of knight d4 though, right? So it is a bit tricky. But like if you move back here, um, it's not clear how black can get rid of all the kind of weaknesses. Okay, actually, king e7 might be a better solution. Maybe I think um, maybe it's a better solution. So like now you can play just let's say bishop e4, bishop g6. Still, I would say like white still has a bit of initiative, but probably it's of a temporary nature, and I think black can probably neutralize it in the long run. But like let's say take on d7, rook on d1, like let's say threaten check, but it's not much. It's not much. So I think black is close to equalizing here, and you never know what's going to happen. Second board in the same match is let me see. Let me see, and I can't find it actually. Um, okay, let's try that one. Round 3. And are Arvindan playing white here and there this game? Okay, black is winning here. Let's see how you. Yeah, black is just kind of fallen up, and also like there is this weakness on h4. So it's kind of unpleasant for. It's always like if you're in this end game, you're really struggling, you're really suffering. So and objectively it's a very difficult one. So like I think it's probably just lost. But again, the rook end games you never know. So you there is a chance that white might save it, but I would say like by default I would probably assume that black is winning. And going back, and let me see if we have who is playing the white here. Okay. We'll switch between there, this game. Um, hmm. White just played knight g4 and threatening to take on h6, right? Um, although computer for some reason doesn't think that it's a threat at all, and I'm not sure why, but probably because like if you play knight takes h6, black can play like something like knight f4 and the knight is stuck, or or something else that I don't see. So that's also like the usual. I would probably like if I were black in this position, I'd play like rook b2 to try to like prevent it from the other side. So like take knight h6, then rook takes d2, and then h6. Okay, but it's kind of it's kind of unclear. Another idea I have in this position is like you can always play f5, and it's actually very tempting because like f5, f4 is like it starts rolling. Well, black has other ideas though, but okay, queen d4 is also uh, reasonable move, so nothing wrong with that. So the two games that we saw were kind of equal. One was like better for attorneys general team, and the last one was I think they were just finishing much faster than I can get to them. Tae Lee Hang. There you have it. Oh, that game is already over, and that was very quick. What happened? What? Oh my goodness, that's very unfortunate for white, right? So black plays bishop b4, and actually this one is already unpleasant. I think it's one of the relatively well-known tricks in this variation where you there was also something like where you can play d5, e5, d4, although not with the knight on c6. But anyway, obviously, if you played knight bishop d4 and like you suddenly lost the knight, it's yeah, it was and the second knight. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, it is indeed time to resign. So that's how the uh, Ministry of Sustainability got a point in this match very quickly. Okay, that happens. That happens indeed. So we are back to. So let's maybe check with the key games that we have on the first in the first match. So how do we evaluate these positions? So I think black is better. Rook is very passive, and yeah, it's kind of unpleasant for white, but it's again like the old maxim about this being the rook end game and all. But the problem is like white pieces are really kind of very passive and there are weaknesses, right? So black, for example, can go all the way to well, like maybe I don't know. So 1, 2, 3, or like take a pawn in the meantime, right? So white would probably play g3, and then g3 is becoming a target of attack, and white or black can also play like e5, e4, like just start pushing this pawn down the board, and it is difficult. So I would say very good practical chances for winning for black. I mean, objectively probably very difficult for white. Okay. And for the second board that we left some time ago, both sides continue just developing, and this looks about equal to me. So yeah, I don't see any major problems for either side. So it will be decided later. And board number 3. Oh, there was quite a bit of change here since we were last looking at this game. So we left it somewhere around here, and that's exactly, yeah, like I was saying, black doesn't have a choice but to castle, but then you kind of invite into attack. Remember, like these kind of, these serves as a huge pawn chain that kind of completely divides the board into two parts. And the problem is on this part of the board, on a king side, white has many more pieces. right? And like more chances to, even though like you're pushing pawns in front of your king, but it doesn't really matter. Look, by the way, look at that. Like I really like how nicely, like visually this thing is. So yeah, and maybe I wouldn't even rush with f6 because like what black does, right? Like my thinking would be I would play knight g3 first, put maybe like prepared for jumping onto f5 later, or maybe h5. And black can never really play f6 because after g6 it's probably going to get mated around here, so just cannot afford. But okay, f6 is also good. Black doesn't want to open the lines. I would still want to play like knight g3 here, but okay, like opening that, taking, knight d5. I think black should have played something like f5 in my opinion, just to make sure that you're getting this space, and also in front of your king. Okay, rook c8. That didn't happen. That white obviously is not in the mood to exchange. Can you take on a3, by the way, here? I would probably, like, desperate times kind of calling for desperate measures. Okay, black did not. And, wow, I'm surprised he does it. Oh, he has to do it. So, like, my thinking, like, you would never want to exchange, but the problem is g5 pawn, right? So, like, if you move the queen anywhere else, g5 falls, and you don't want that. So that's actually a big break for black. Although, okay, it's it's amazing. Like nobody takes the pawn. Like why nobody wants the pawn on a3? I would take it. Rook c7. Okay. I think after everything is said and done, white is still better, but it's not as big. My impression, like at some point of time, he was just close to winning. It's no longer the case. You probably want to play something like bishop h3. Why can I? It's like this. I cannot cannot make any moves on the board. But basically, you want to cut off this diagonal and like prevent from black from doubling on c file, and also like f5. Okay, white has other ideas, but okay. So I think for now we can just conclude that black is doing okay. So I think f5 is coming. And the last board, is okay, the last board is actually over now. So what happened here? Wow, so many changes in this game. So white was a pawn up, but I was like, that's when we left, and I was saying white has compensation, and indeed he does. So like there is a lot of pressure on b7, on b6, and all of these pawns. So you probably like it's a bit unpleasant, if you know what I mean. Rook d1. You could also play rook b1 here and kind of start threatening rook a6. But either way, so okay. By the way, white didn't take it previously. He could, but now he's taking that here and taking on a6. And I think what happened is, wow, that's a lot of. Okay, black is actually now on up, right? How did that come to a lost position for black, I wonder? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Black really walked into that. Oh, wow. Oh, this is bad. That must have been felt terrible. So basically, you see, like in this position, like let's say play e4, e2, e4, e5, e4, and black is close to winning. I mean, like probably pushing to e3 after that. Okay, g4 is saying, okay, well, it's not as simple, but either way, I mean, like do anything. Play rook a3, maybe rook a1, but not king d5, because after c2, c4 check, and that's the thing that kind of easy to miss. So it's a check, and the rook is gone. And I think that was it. So black was uh, still fighting it out, but he just does not have enough. That's such a pity for black player. I can imagine it must have hurt. It must have hurt. This is so unfortunate for black. Yeah, okay. Wow, look at that. That was one mean tactical trap, if you can call it that. Going back to the first board and his pairing, okay, six. So yeah, black is totally winning, I think. Although material is equal, but I think black is just faster. So like, take on c2, take on h5, king e4, and this pawn starts rolling, like basically this one. And I'm afraid that black is just much faster. Yeah, so this is going to be winning. Yep, I think it's winning. So like now d3. And by the way, there is also an interesting trick here. Let's say d3, rook d8. Not sure what it's showing. Something like there is. Let me actually show it just like for the fun of it. So let's say d3. Let's say white is pushing this pawn. I don't think it's the strongest, but just for the sake of variation, rook d8, and now you have like this what you call building a bridge. You check, and then you go to d3. And that's it. So basically the pawn queens. So going back here, you probably want to push this pawn first, but okay, I think this is not going to save white really. So like you can even go back with the queen with the king, but I don't think you have to really like rook king e3. We can't play h6 because of this. Yeah, it's just lost. Really bad. Okay. Yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult. And let's see what's happening there. Okay, well, actually, he's doing the same idea. So he wants to build the bridge right now, right? You see, like, if the rook comes to d4, then, okay, well, so now it's like these moves. Definitely what's coming. Can white take, actually? The only chance is to take and hope for the best, like, I don't think you can. So, king c3, h5, d2, no, it's too late. So king e1, king c2. No, come on, that's not gonna help. Black is just first. Yep, black is winning. What about the other game? Second board. So Suli Young is winning for sure. And here, black is a pawn up suddenly. So there was some exchange somewhere around here. Yeah, black. So basically, white just blundered the pawn here, like taking, and yeah, you see bishop e5. And the reason is like the pawn is pinned, so you cannot take on a5. So white is just a pawn down now, and he can fight, but okay, it was much easier to fight with a pawn than without a pawn. So black is probably on the way to win this game, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, like it's too early to make conclusions, but it's definitely chances. So first board is won for Minister of Health. Last board is also won for the Minister of Health. On the second board is extra pawn for NTU. And so it really comes down to this one. Ooh, look at that. Another, also like, look at that. Exactly the same motive that we just saw in the previous game, right? So because you cannot take on D3 because of the pin, right? So like that's, remember like I was saying, like you wanted to control this diagonal and prevent black from doubling on this line. Well, that was the reason. So yeah, Yeah, and the worst part is like it's not even like why not everybody not paying attention to A3 pawn? Like somebody please take that pawn. I mean, come on, just for my sanity. I don't know. Like I don't know why people don't like that pawn that much. I mean, like it's a pawn. Either way, so here Ministry of Health seems to be winning. So I think they are on track to actually win the match. But okay, it's Blitz. Anything can happen. Is it somebody offering a draw here or what? Like I wonder, maybe in some other boards. Okay. Wow, that's not something I would have done. Oh, look at that. That's a nice one. No, that's a good one actually. I must say that Lichin Ern was seeing more than I did here. But okay, like you still probably play Rook G2, exchange, then Knight E8. I don't know. I mean, like I can say I like it because like okay, oh, the point is like you cannot go Rook F1. So you want to play Rook F1, but then you take on C2. Yeah, okay, it's probably difficult for black or for white. I would still do it. You have like this idea of going like Bishop D7 here. I would probably just do it now. This one, black has to move, and then you start kind of a bit kind of harassing the black king with like Rook G1. Okay, especially if king goes this way, you can play. No, you cannot actually play anything. So D5 is hanging. Like these pawns are probably going to start falling down. No, black is probably still winning. Hmm. Okay, well let's take a look. I'm still like I still see at least one funny trick for black for white. Like for example, if this king H8, I would definitely be tempted to play. Let me show it. Let me show it. So if king H8, I would play this, and at least I scare my opponent for like to death because of F7. And this one, by the way, is already might be a gun for black actually. Believe it or not, like Rook F3, Rook G8. Look at that. That's a way to turn the game around. Let's see if it's going to happen in that game. Where was that game? This one? No, not this one. This one? Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Please, please, please play Bishop E6. I want to see that. I just want to see it. First of all, it's beautiful. And I think it actually works. So, or maybe it doesn't. No, Rook G7 is not as strong. You like knight D5, knight F6. Although maybe again I'm wrong. Guys, I'm actually wrong. I have to take it back. So yeah, wow. No, it's actually well, black can first of all, white can just go down to H2 and ask the question. He also wants like he can probably like try to get like H5, H. Oh yeah, look at that. He's doing that. He's doing that. Oh me, oh my. That's interesting. Actually, it's now I don't know who's better anymore. You know. I say, look at that. So much happening. Like black probably has to take on D5, right? What? What is? I mean, you could even play King H6 for Christ's sake. I mean, well, you can still do it actually next move. No, this is mate in two. Rook F8. Oh no! Rook F8 and Bishop F5. Why didn't you do that? Oh my goodness. Okay, check. The most okay, that's also good. That's actually maybe even stronger, to be honest. Because what do you do? Like you take white one. What happened? Oh, time out. Black just ran out of time. Oh my goodness. So, and I wasn't even playing that game. I was commentating on that, and I was Wow. Imagine like how much stress there was when you were playing that game, you know? So, wow, that's something. Okay, so I think that was the end of the match. Let's see what happened there. Okay, people are playing now the games uh, on their own. So let's maybe just switch to a different one. I think people are trying to kind of get a bit of relaxation, if you will. You know, let's see the other game, the other screen and the results. So, wow, look at that! Oh my, that was also the deciding game of this round. That was absolutely the deciding, like the game that we just saw finishing. Wow, guys, I mean, like you really have to appreciate like just like the urgency on is like the stress, the drama. Uh, this is unbelievable. This is wow. I'm still playing this game in my head, and you probably do as well. I mean, there was so much in that game, and Black was winning. Well, White was winning in the beginning in the opening. I think in the opening, White was completely outplaying, but then he kind of missed this queen exchange, and after that, it was I don't know, let's say maybe about equal. Then he allowed Black to activate everything, lost a couple of pawns, and I was absolutely sure that Black is on the way to winning. But then White kept on kind of creating these resources and pushed back the Black Knight, and actually played, by the way, played in a better than I recommendations, my recommendations, that's for sure. Um, like I didn't see some of these lines, like Rook G7 was a good one. The variation I was showing was like pretty tricky, but not as strong necessarily. Wow. And then White missed checkmating in two moves, but still won because like okay, the move he played was also like he was creating a threat, and Black just ran out of time. Wow, that was that was that was that was a little something. So let's see. Uh, sorry, I still need to time to take that in and kind of to process what happened there. That was amazing. That was unbelievable. Okay, but let's look at the round. So in the third round, surprisingly, the first three matches ended in a tie, right? So that game that we just saw kind of decided the match for NTU and Ministry of Health. Actually, let me do a little something as well here because I'm getting distracted by the uh, noises there from the other window. I will create it again. Wow. Okay. So second match was also drawn. So Ministry of Sustainability and Environment and Attorney General also like they were trading wins on all four boards. And the third match, People's Association, Ministry of Home Affairs, also tied, right? So let's see what does it mean in terms of the. Let's see what it means in terms of ranking. So how did it change? Wow, that was chess is a spectator sport. I mean, like it really is. It's amazing, and I must say I didn't expect so much drama in this match and so much tension. And I wasn't even playing, and you're like, I hope you're feeling the same. It's really quite something there. Um, okay, so we have now the situation became even more interesting because so I was anointing like the Ministry of Health and NTS favorites, and they probably still are. But now you also need to like because they drew much against between themselves. You also need to start looking into this second parameter, which is like board points, right? So it can be anyone's match now, right? So okay, how can I make it a little bigger here? So wow. So we have round four. and that's going to be interesting. So I think I'm going to take a pause here. So if only just to kind of like to get back to normal, so to speak, um, in before the next round. I think the next round's probably got to start at 3 p.m. And I will also try to bring a guest onto the stream, one of the young Singapore players. Let's see if we can make it happen in the meantime. So I'm taking a break, and please join us again at 3 p.m. The competition is really starting to heat up. So the last rounds are going to be really, really interesting. So there is a lot of um, drama still to happen over the next 2 hours. So yeah, don't switch to other stations. Please come back at 3 p.m. It's going to be really interesting. And maybe I will try to make sure everything is working and like restart at 3 p.m. So please get back in 12 minutes from now. And now for a break.